Start on your end.
Are we going?
We are. We're on.
Okay.
Coast to coast and worldwide.
I just want to say, you guys are doing a great thing. It's such an uncomfortable topic to talk about, especially for a guy, young guys in their early 20s. And, I'm glad that, I could tune in and, listen to you guys.
Spencer Coburn's The Bald Truth.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming on to watch The Bald Truth with me and Spencer Coburn. I'm making a medical disclaimer before we get started. Spencer Coburn and myself, Joe Tillman, are not medical doctors. We are not giving medical advice. We are giving our opinions based on a combined 60 plus years of familiarity with the hair restoration and hair loss industry. Anything that we say should not be taken as medical advice. If you do have medical or surgical questions regarding hair restoration or hair loss, please consult a licensed medical professional. Back to you, Spencer.
Very interesting. Very interesting, Joseph. First of all, I think it's important to know that, for all you guys who just heard that disclaimer, I happen to be the most read author in the world on the subject of the prevention and treatment of hair loss. And to be honest with you guys, yeah, I think it's important that Joe give a medical disclaimer. But with that disclaimer, I think it's important that you maybe take this information to your physicians.
That's a good way of putting it.
And explain to them that they may want to watch the show as well. Phone number is 888-659-3727. We are live. This is The Bald Truth. Welcome to the broadcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out as usual. I'm not even going to apologize for being late because that's just the way that it is. It's a free show.
Get over it.
Deal with it. Get over it. The phone number is 888-659-3727. I think the camera's good. I changed things a little bit today, whatever. It is what it is. We are trying some new stuff. And we do have a full board, so I'm going to just get to the phones, let you guys kind of dictate the show, okay? Let's see who this is.
Right on.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hey, caller. Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello?
Hello. Hello.
Joe and Spencer?
Yes, this is Joe and Spencer.
Yes.
Or Spencer and Joe.
Spencer and Joe, sorry. This is old-time caller, Dante, from way back.
Dante, how are you, brother? It's
Dante.
not so way back. It's been a while, but...
It's been a while.
Yeah. So what's going on?
But I do watch.
How's it going,
I do tune in all the time. I'm okay, thank you, and hope you guys are also. But I have been watching. But the show is transitioned as I've said in the past. You get a lot of younger callers with some good stories, so that's why I haven't been checking in. I mean, at least on the phone.
Well, guys our age are dying off already, so that's the way that it is.
That's true. But I know I know Spencer and Joe, you are not medical doctors. But can you? I need some psychiatric care, if I may.
Well, I can't give you psychiatric care, but I could definitely give you some emotional advice. Okay,
so I think I have 9 years on you, Spencer. I'm 69 right now.
Jesus.
I can't give up the fight. And my problem is that I scheduled, believe it or not, a hair transplant, and it'll be happening on Tuesday.
Okay. And where are you getting it done?
Dr. Daniel.
Okay.
I had a consult with him. I think he's very good.
Do you have to bring, your visiting angel with you? Nurse's aide? I'm just kidding.
No. I think, fortunately for me, it's just my age is a high number. I think otherwise I'm okay.
Yeah, listen, I hear you, man. I tell people I'm 60. I can't even believe it when I say that number. Honestly, I don't feel a day over 59 and a half, maybe. But really, it is unbelievable that, when you think about it, you're in your own head. And you remember your childhood, the years just fly by very quickly. You're still dealing with many of the same emotional issues that you had when you were younger, except you've learned how to deal with certain things. But, some of the same stressors. I always tell young people, it does get better as you get older, especially when you can figure out a way to get your shit together. But you never fully change. You evolve, but you always have the same mindset. So when these kids look at us and they think we're old, it's like, it's going to happen fast, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. You're right, and it goes fast. But you're right. You don't really feel much different. I mean, there's certain things you may not be able to do as well as you did in the past, but you don't really feel any different. And for me, I can't get over this, this battle with hair. I just love hair. And as you've said on the last, you've been saying this for a while now that you've lost ground, right? You're losing ground. I could see that I'm losing ground. And it just really bothers me. So I had a consult with Dr. Bainham in L.A. A few years ago. I sent some, pictures to Dr. Umar. I spoke to Dr. Daniel, a couple weeks ago. I sent him photos. Sounds like a really good guy. Like, he says he does, I'm going like totally beard to head, right? I don't think there's much left on top. But when we get there, we'll find out. He could, obviously in person, he'll be able to do a better assessment. But it looks like beard to head. Like he thinks he could do 2,500. And the reason he said 2,500, he liked my beard. He said it was, very good area, donor area, right? But he says that the way they do it, that's probably the most that they can do in one day because of it's a different angle for him. He's I guess he's in a different place than on the top of your head. I don't know however it works, but that's what he said he can do. So I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, if he was able to like put you in some sort of gravity boots and hang you upside down, it might be easier.
Right.
But yeah, he's got to go from underneath. You have to kind of lay back. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, so I'm gonna fly to Atlanta Monday late in the day, and be in there on Tuesday, and hopefully it works out.
You're just going for it.
Yeah, I think it should, and yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So.
Well, listen, I understand. First of all, you're 69 years old. He's able to remove. He thinks you have enough donor. And Joe, you froze, by the way. He thinks you have enough donor.
Great.
Where he can get 2,500 grafts from you. I'm assuming that most of the hair is going to be in the crown and maybe mid-anterior scalp, not necessarily the hairline. Am I right?
Well, I could use a little bit in the hairline, so maybe he can take some hair from, I don't know, the side a little bit. I don't know, but hopefully he can do that. I'm going to tell him. I'm going to ask him if he can fill in the hairline a little bit because, like I said, I've lost some, because just stress of life and like you've been saying in the last few shows, these transplants don't last forever. So, I'm thinning a little in the crown, but in the hairline, but right behind the hairline going back. I pretty much don't have much. He said I need 5,000, but he can only do,
Listen,
he figures 2,500.
I think your case is very important because all these kids, and you're almost 70, but normally if someone gets hair transplants at a very young age, in their 20s, for instance, a lot of the hair that's being moved, no matter what you're being sold, is not permanent, period. And now with FUE only, most of it's not permanent. So you have to do so well on medication. And the truth is, as we age, we are suffering with aged alopecia. The hair shaft diameters are getting smaller. So even if the transplants last for 3-4 decades, they're going to look thinner. And they're going to eventually, people are going to actually think, oh, my hair's thinning again. It may not be falling out. The grafts may not be miniaturizing completely. But even in the best case scenario, they're going to get thinner. That's just the way that it is. These kids don't understand that. They believe they have a permanent fix, and they're also doing surgery without medication. They're being sold surgery without medication. And they're not going to be like you, Dante. You've been able to manage things pretty well over all these years. Most of them will be screwed before midlife.
No, I agree, and it definitely does not last forever. I mean, I'm still pretty good, but like the whole behind the hairline, a couple inches behind it is just about like nothing there anymore. pretty much gone. And unfortunately, I started. So when I was 32, I had my first hair transplant, and that was the Wild West back then. I had like 3.
Still is, brother.
But back, and you're right. But 3 FUTs in like 6 months, the way they were doing it back then. So and obviously I maybe got like 300 and some odd grafts each time. Who even knows? That's what they charged me for, but you don't even know what I really got. And that was with Gary Hitzig out of Long Island.
That's
way
right.
back then.
You went back to the old Long Island Medical Associates.
Yeah, and they got jammed up with the garbage men were doing their own thing on the and during the middle of the night. So
honestly, the garbage men probably did a better job in my view, but
it's possible. I didn't work with them. I worked with the doctors, but so my donor, even though I didn't get that much out of it because of the way that the work had to be done, 40 years ago or 30 some odd years ago, my donor is still shot, right? Because it was they pretty much just barraged the whole thing to get what they could. So that's why I'm stuck with beard. He liked my beard. He said my beard was good. So I'm hoping for a good result. He and I've heard you guys talk about him. I know he's part of the organization.
Listen, I believe that if he believes he can help you, he can.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're probably going to come away with a decent result. But you have to be realistic when it comes to beard hair.
And I just started working with him recently myself, and one of the reasons why I brought him on board is because I thought that he's one of those doctors that is more comfortable with beard hair and those types of procedures, and there are a couple of repair cases that he's shown me that I thought were particularly well thought out, approached appropriately, and he offers some aspects of surgery that you don't see very often in most clinics, and so and he wants to do a good job as well. He's legit, sincerely into doing things right, to do right by his patients. So I think it's a solid choice. But what Spencer was saying about beard hair in general, yeah, absolutely, he's right.
Yeah, and he apparently has another Dr. Goldstein on board, and 2 PAs, I think, and the 4 of them work on you at the same time because he has this technique. I'm sure Joe and Spence, you've heard of it, DHI, where they don't punch, cut out the donor, the recipient sites first, and then he
does old school stick in place, but he uses it's kind of like it's an interesting situation now because it's an old school technique that has been essentially reinvented in the field. Choi implanters, for instance, have been around for decades, and for a while, some doctors were kind of going in that direction because they felt that they had more control, and then they realized, this takes a lot of work, so they went back to letting technicians essentially place the grafts. Now some people actually will create recipient sites prior to using an implanter pen and then place with the implanter pen, and then some people are doing stick in place where they do it simultaneously. So essentially they're creating the incision while they're implanting the graft.
Right, that's what he's going to do. But he, and the thing I liked about it too, between himself and the other doctor, they do everything. He'll pull the follicles and he'll implant them, and other people, if you're doing chest, I've watched videos, there'll be people taking hair out of your chest, somebody's taking it out of your beard, whatever.
What's his associate's name?
Dr. Goldstein?
Yeah, I
believe it's Dr. Goldstein.
I think he told me he was going to bring on an associate, but I wasn't aware that the associate would be performing surgery with him simultaneously, which is interesting. I'm going to have to contact him, see what's up.
I think that's what they're doing. And he's not a young kid. He looks like he might be in his 40s.
Yeah.
So looks like he's been around. I don't know his background. So, I'm just hoping for a decent result. I'm not, I have guys in my office. Oh, so you're going to come back with a full head of hair? I said, no, I'm not going to come back with a full head of hair.
These guys are so stupid.
I know that, yeah.
It doesn't matter how long this has been around. People are such idiots. They have no idea what hair transplant surgery is. They have no idea what the limitations are. And that's why all these kids are running overseas. They think they're going to get a full head of hair. And maybe for a year or two, it looks pretty good. And then they're screwed.
Yep.
Yep.
That's usually the way it works.
Yeah. But listen, Dante, I'm glad. I think, listen, you want to go in this direction. I think you made a good choice. Look, you never know what happens in the end, but given your point in life and given the fact that they're using beard hair and they're not, going back into your scalp to get the donor, I think the risk is relatively low and the upside may be pretty high.
I appreciate that, and I hope so. And apparently I've been watching a lot of videos, and I'm a little confused because Dr. Daniel said that, because it's a coarser hair, and, my hair's not really curly, but it is a little wavy because, as you guys know, back in the old days when they implanted the grafts, I guess the compression made your hair a little bit wiry.
Yeah.
So some of my hair is a little bit wiry anyway. I normally have straight hair, very straight hair, but so it may not be that much of a difference in, I don't know about the texture, but the way it looks, but obviously beard hair is coarser, but he's telling me it's like more, it's close to 1.5 times the,
diameter,
the density, but then I've watched a lot of videos where they say, you only get single hair grafts from the beard, so I'm not sure when they're talking about that, but what do you guys think about that? Is it?
Yeah, I would say most people's beard hair has a larger diameter in general, and it's coarser than their scalp hair. Generally, especially if you have fine hair.
Yeah. So at that part, I agree with, but I would think you were able to get at least a 2-hair or a 3-hair graft more than just because some people are just saying, some doctors I've seen, you only get single hairs out of the beard. But I look at my beard, the hairs are coming out close together. I don't know what size punch they're going to use to pull it out, but I would think you get more than a 1-hair graft.
You just touched on something that's really interesting. You get two different clinics looking at the exact same close-up view of a donor scalp. Or donor source, and in this case it could be the beard, and you'll have 2 different clinics giving 2 different assessments of what kind of grafts that they're looking at. You'll have one clinic that says, I see a 2-hair graft, and then the other clinic will say, I see 2 single-hair grafts. And it's the same graft or the same follicle. So that's something a lot of people don't realize, because the level of refinement that one clinic will have versus the others as far as how detailed they are in the dissection of grafts to create singles is really something that it's a fine art. It doesn't mean that one's right over the other. It's just a different approach. But with beard hair, there are very few triples, and I've never heard of a quad. Not saying that they don't exist. But it will primarily be singles and some doubles in the beard, the way that it naturally grows. But even doubles are a much lower ratio than compared to singles. So that's generally correct.
Wow, because I was thinking it might be a way to make more money, right? Because if you have 2,000 singles and 500 doubles, person's going to need more hair at some point in time, most likely, right? Rather than if you got, 2,000 doubles and 500 singles. So I thought maybe you hear that because, obviously they charge per graph, most likely.
Well, that's an argument that's been made by clinics that don't charge per graft for forever, like since the beginning of graft cost per graft to begin with, and I've always dismissed that because. When I worked in clinic, especially for Haas and Wong, getting bigger graft numbers, that was exactly what was being levied, was that not only, that some of the grafts were being artificially split just to inflate the graft number. And, one thing that people don't realize is that when you're doing a transplant, they say, oh, charge per hair. Well, that's kind of misleading because you don't know how the hairs are arranged. You don't know, if they're in groupings that are more or less effective. But when you're talking about cost per graft, some of the cost goes into actually preparing those grafts as they're being, as they're inserted into the recipient sites. In other words, say for instance, you have, 2,000 grafts that are extracted, but 2,400 grafts were actually transplanted. You're paying for the grafts that were transplanted, not the grafts that were extracted, because there's extra work that goes into creating 2,400 grafts out of 22,000 follicles, meaning that if your yield does not have as many singles that are necessary for a proper hairline, the clinic can create those grafts, taking doubles and triples and dividing them into singles to create those single hair grafts. So you're paying for those as well. It's not paying for the follicles. You're paying for the grafts that are created or modified to create what you're after, what you're looking for, to make sure it's natural, you got the density, whatever. So that's something that people need to realize is when you're paying per graft, you're paying for, and this is with better clinics, you're paying for the grafts that were prepared to get the result that you want.
It's funny. I just caught myself on camera. It looks like I was going to have to stroke. Just the sheer look on my face.
Well, it's because you're 60.
Yeah. Anyway, Dante, I think you're in good hands. But just you be prepared. Hope for the best. Be prepared for something that's reasonable, and hopefully everything works out and they could essentially surpass your expectations.
Well, yes, Spence, you're right. And, people call me up and, at the office, like clients, and they'd be like, oh, how was your summer? And I say my summer was fine because I don't have any really high expectations, so I'm never that disappointed. And especially with, in the hair transplant industry, as you guys talk about all the time on your show, I'm hoping, like you said, I'm hoping for the best. Hopefully I get some more coverage, and I'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah,
I'll
listen,
let you
man.
know how it goes.
Okay.
I appreciate the call. It's great to hear from you. I wish you the best of luck. And you're going in next week for the surgery.
Yeah, flying down there Monday night, and then we do it Tuesday.
Will you let them know that you are keeping the bald truth abreast of everything, and you're calling in with all the details so that they are on the top of their game?
Exactly.
I did. In the consult, I told him that I listened to the bald truth, and he laughed. He's aware. He knows.
Sure. Absolutely. All right, brother. Listen, good luck.
All right, guys.
All right.
Great talking to you guys. I'll keep you posted.
All right,
Thanks
take
very
care.
much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
All right.
Dante. Take care.
Take care. Thank you. Bye.
I'm glad he picked somebody good. But I do have to contact their office and say, look, what's the deal with this other doctor?
Well, I knew about the other doctor, but the way it was, I actually spoke with Dr. Daniel today, and he was telling me that, he didn't say that they work together on cases.
Yeah, that's the only thing. If they're going to work together on cases, I do think that, especially since so many people are watching my social media, checking out this program, people like Dante, I need to know more about this particular doctor. That's all.
Yeah.
I think it's only fair to our listeners.
Of course.
And to his practice.
Absolutely.
Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, fellas, it's Ash from the UK.
Oh, hey, brother. What's going on?
What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going? It's all good. Just poured a whiskey. Just tuning into you fellas, and saw your man Trump's just had a state visit, and he's gone home. And it's good to see him.
You saw who?
See him and Mr. Trump, Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of Trump, have we figured out where his hair's coming from? It's still a mystery to me. Is he combing it from his back?
It both. All over.
It's a flap.
All over.
He had a flap.
The flap.
He definitely had, I would say, several procedures, including what they used to call a scalp reduction back in the day. And it's very possible he had a flap. I definitely have heard through the grapevine that he had a significant amount of grafting done. So that's all his hair. it's just interesting, you know. And now he's getting to the point where he's old, so it's starting. His comb over is getting thinner. That's it.
So when you say a flap, I've not heard of that term before. That sounds like...
You're very lucky. It's very archaic. And, you know, for a while, believe it or not, surgeons were doing several types of procedures for male pattern baldness. They were doing it was called the Mercedes scar scalp reduction. Essentially, they would create cuts in your scalp, remove piece of your scalp, and draw together at 3 different angles, like a triangle. It would end up leaving a Mercedes symbol, like that star on the top of people's heads. And they hoped that would work out. You are lessening the balding area. But what they didn't realize is they were completely destroying the direction of growth on the top of people's heads. And eventually that area receded as well. So that is one potential procedure he had that I heard he may have had. And a flap is when they would remove a peninsula of scalp from the side of your scalp, rotate it, hopefully with the blood supply still intact, and dig a trench into your hairline, basically cut out the skin in your hairline, and then suture that flap of hair into your hairline. So if it took and it didn't become necrotic, you would have this very thick hairline, except it would be growing in the wrong direction.
Yeah, it's growing backward.
Yeah.
Like you can only brush your hair backward. It's
right.
There's no two ways around it. So, and if you notice his hairstyle, it's a very complicated coif.
How dare you?
Where it doesn't go backward visually, like it doesn't look like it does, but it goes backward and then they bring it to the side and then back around to the front. It's very complicated how they do his hair. I'm not even sure how they do it, but yeah, he's
I
had
find
some
it to
very
be
antiquated. only because you got the Trump the early years going on.
Yeah.
No, but it's very the work he's had done is very antiquated. No one does what he had today.
Yeah, I saw. I can't remember. It was a US talk show host. He was. I think he scruffed his hair up at one point. And
Yeah,
even then,
I think it was Jimmy
couldn't figure
Fallon.
it
Yeah.
out. That's it. That's right. It was Fallon, and
Yeah.
I was like, "This thing's more confusing than the Rubik's
Yeah,
Cube.
his
I
hair.
can't figure it
Yeah,
out."
his hair's real. It's growing out of his head. That's why he let him do it.
But they've had to spin his head around or do something wild, right?
Dude, it's pretty heavy what he had done, allegedly. But that was what anyone with a little money used to have done back in the day, 70s, 80s, 90s. Look, I flew out to Los Angeles from New York because there was a guy by the name of Garth Fisher who basically, the reason I do what I do is because he turned me away. One of the reasons. And he was doing a free-form flap that he had done in Japan. It was a very rare procedure. And essentially, they would have to disconnect that flap of tissue from the blood supply and reattach it with the nerve endings and all that stuff into the front and hope that it grows. Now, there was a percentage of flaps that would die because it was disconnected from your blood supply for a period of time. His looked really good. But he told me, listen, you have too much hair, and if you were to do this even in the future, you have to understand that this flap can die. And if it dies, you have to wear a hairpiece for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you're done.
And he basically turned me away and said, don't even have anything done. You're not a candidate for anything. And he was the first doctor to ever turn me away from anything. Everyone else wanted to operate on me. So,
My God,
yeah, my life would have been destroyed.
the term "the flap" just sounds horrific. The flap.
Yeah. It's
not. Yeah.
Yeah, and the scars on the back of on the sides of the people's heads, and that's why his part is so low, allegedly. Joe, you can't hear it? You lost your sound, huh? What are you going to do?
Joe.
Joe lost his sound. Yeah, so listen, I mean, I would say that given his situation, and the fact that he was able to, and really just wanted real hair so bad, he did pretty well. Now, if I were in his situation with his money back in the day, and the fact that he was on television so much, I probably would have found a way to, get a really good system, or at least combine a system with some of the transplant that he had, and he could have had a much more reasonable hairstyle. But he didn't want that, so.
Spencer, can you hear me?
Yes.
He's back.
I can't hear anything.
Okay.
Hello.
I'm going to text Joe while he's very lost here now. So go ahead, man. You have any questions for me? What's up?
Yeah, there's a few things. I've decided anyway. Look, I've decided it's after a long conversation with myself, listening to you guys over the course of maybe 5-6 years. I discovered Joe probably 6 years ago. I held off for as long as I could, and I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to pull the trigger and get a hair transplant.
You're just dying on me.
Hold on.
No
Joe,
joy?
hold on for 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
Let me disconnect from Joe. Joe, disconnect. Disconnect.
Unplug.
Yeah. All right. So you're not getting a hair transplant because of you found us. You found
No.
Joe. You found us.
Yeah. I found you fellas, and I kind of said to myself, right, I'll hold, I'll hang fire for a bit. I won't do it because, your principles were hold off for as long as you can. So, I took that and I said to myself, just wait. So now at 40, I was going to do it, and that was 3 years ago. And then I waited with your advice. And I was waiting to find the right surgeon, if I'm being honest. And it's just not about finding the guy with the right skill set. It's about finding the right personality.
Oh, yeah.
I honestly have to buy into the person before committing to anything.
And good luck finding that.
No. Well, look, you're back. Joe.
Yep.
He's back, but he's frozen.
Yep.
Oh.
His rig is all fucked up.
I guess I should segue Joe into this because it was down to Joe, really, because what happened was I was holding off Joe for a while, right, from having a hair transplant. I'm 43 now. So
hold on 1 second. Just give me 20 seconds. Hold on.
Okay. Shall I sing a song? Do you want it more?
Yeah, I don't know. I could play some music.
There we go.
Yeah.
No, I'm back. I'm back.
He's back.
Okay. Yeah, just having strange hiccups on my system here. So sorry. Go ahead. You're saying.
You must have said a keyword and the government have tapped in.
There you go.
That's what happens. I'm from the UK.
Yeah, that's the problem. If we're taking calls from the UK, we're all screwed.
Yeah, I can't say. I might as well just hang up, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what I can and can't say.
Do not say finasteride, whatever you do.
But yeah, so Joe, I was just telling Spencer then that I was hanging fire for ages because I found you guys maybe 5-6 years ago. I rang in a few times. And, your advice was always hold off for as long as you can. If surgery is the last resort. So I held that, but I wasn't going to do it. And then it was a few months ago, a surgeon rang into your show, and he was basically talking about the industry. He was talking about what a shit show it was.
Manny Mattel?
Ah, bingo.
Yeah.
And that guy struck a chord.
He's the only guy who's ever called in to talk about what a shit show. I think he had a couple of drinks in him, maybe, to talk about what a shit show this industry is. And I really admired that.
Yeah, I've got to respect him for it. It's refreshing.
Yeah.
And I went, who is this guy? Because because I'm from the UK, I was always kind of reluctant to research anything in the UK because I've heard it was kind of the shithousery that goes on in the UK. I just avoided it. So when he rang, I kind of went, this sounds like the guy. So then I did my due diligence, and then I found that Joe did a big podcast with him that lasted for like an hour, and I went, God, this guy's really likable. Let's do some more research. And then I went to see him. I went to Tower, let's go and see him. So I went for a consultation, and I looked out, right? So I went to this consultation. I had no idea. But then, as I was there, David Anderson was there too.
No shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, holy shit, I got two for the price of one. How lucky am I? And anyhow, I happened to bump into David when I went for a consultation where he worked at his last clinic at the Maitland Clinic.
Right.
And at that time, I just wasn't ready for the transplant. I just wanted to go and get a consultation, and that was during COVID. But then he was at Dr. Manny's a month or so ago when I went to see him.
Right.
And everything kind of fell in place. And I spoke to Manny about the procedure. And my God, that guy's got class. You know, when you know someone knows their shit, and the fact that not only is he a great personality, he's really, he's very personable. I sat there and went, I'm in the right place here. I think it's time to pull the trigger on this hair transplant. Because I've been holding off for so long.
You know what I like about him? You're talking about him being personable. It's not, there's some guys who try to be funny or they try to be personable, but there's something a little off about them. He has a real sincerity about him when he speaks to you. He really makes me laugh when I'm on the phone with him. He has a, like one of the boys type of attitudes, but he's also very professional. And that's a very difficult combination to find.
What I like about him is he doesn't take himself too seriously. Like, he takes his craft seriously. He takes the surgery seriously, but he doesn't take himself so seriously. Like, unlike most other physicians. I mean, he knows he's good at what he does, but he's also, I don't think humble's the right word, but he's just not full of himself. I feel lucky that I got to spend some time with him. I went to his clinic back in February of this year and spent a couple days at his old clinic which he still has. He uses that as he calls it an academy because he's teaching other doctors. But also his new clinic before it opened. It's open now. But I spent some time with him, and I really liked him as a person, not just as a surgeon. And getting to hear from him as when we go out for a couple beers or for dinner and stuff like this, to hear him talking about things, it's one of those situations where I knew I made the right decision by bringing him on board as a member of what I do, of being a hair transplant mentor doctor, and he's not let me down so far. He's doing great work, and patients are, I hear back from patients saying that they're happy that they made that decision. So I like your approach to it. I'm glad that you listened to me and Spencer about holding off, not pulling the trigger. I'm glad you listened to your gut. Nothing against Dr. Ball. I think the world of him. He's definitely very good at what he does. But if you weren't ready, you weren't ready. And so it's nice to hear. Good for you.
You mentioned the key point there. It's the gut. Now, 9 times out of 10 in my life, the gut is, they say it's the second brain, right? But ultimately, I do believe that if there's that feeling there, you've got to go with it. And it's something that, you're right, I went to see Dr. Manny, and I sat with him, and God, it's so impressive to think that he's in his mid-30s. And, I've managed in my career what I'm in and stuff, but to have his kind of business acumen and the way he presented himself and be super likable at the same time, it's kind of, I trust this guy. This is the guy. And that's when I knew, I was happy to hold off for a few more years. But when I met him and everything, I just thought, as Spencer would say, the stars aligned, right? And you just kind of know. You have that feeling. So thanks to you, Joe, and putting the time in and all your hard work for your podcast and stuff. He was made known to me. He was put on the radar. So I'm grateful. So thank you for that. And then I bumped into David as well, which was...
Wait a second. I thought you said you heard him on this show.
Yeah, I did. I kind of, he rang you up, but then,
all right.
But then Joe did like a podcast with him, which kind of went into the nitty gritty and stuff.
All right, listen.
Hey, Spence, I got love for you, man. I got love for you.
I'm just kidding, bro.
You tell me when your bed sheet's coming out, your bedspread with your face on it, and I'm buying it, okay?
My what? Bedspread?
Your bedspread,
Spencer Coburn bedspread.
Look,
that's good.
Look, the way this industry is going, that may have to happen eventually.
So thanks. Anyhow, look,
first of all, I'm really happy for you. I hope things work out. He's a really good guy. He's a good doctor. I don't love the fact that these younger guys are so keen to get involved with some players in the field that I think are questionable, but I understand these people need leads. That's the only thing that kind of, I don't know, it bugs me about, especially this generation when they should know better. However, and Joe just froze on that, which is good because I don't want to see his face. But I will say that he's one of the real good young guys. And I would love him to kind of like be more involved with what we do. I told him at the beginning when we first started to work together that we want some young leaders. And we definitely need people in the UK to kind of lead the way. And I think what happens is, even though he's called the show, and again, he's a friend of the Bald Truth and he's a friend of ours, I kind of think that, I don't know, these doctors they get lost in their own practice and they don't necessarily realize how important it is, in my view, to kind of put themselves out there on stuff like he did with Joe, for instance, or call the show more. And he would definitely get more interest, like you, guys like you, not just based on his before and afters or being listed on some website, but from people learning more about him and his personality. Because he's an honest guy. He had a couple of drinks in him. He doesn't even do strip. And he said, you know what? Strip is the gold standard. Did you remember hearing that?
Yeah. I've done, since before meeting him, I did my due diligence and research. Yeah, that's what ticked the boxes for me. But I think, you're right. I think a lot of, from his perspective or from whatever profession you're in, right? So I'm in IT, I'm a software developer and moved into marketing, etc. Now, if I'd follow someone like yourself and through all the information that you put out there with regards to hair transplant surgery, and as a result, you approach me as a hair transplant surgeon, you'd be the most informed patient amongst all the others that come in off whatever, Instagram influencers and whatever.
100%.
But if you're so informed, you would be, for me as a surgeon, I'd go, this is the patient I want because they understand the pros and the cons. They understand the longevity game of this, what they have to commit to it, what it means. To me, that would settle me as a surgeon. So I think more of them should do it because they shouldn't be afraid just to be in the mix with everyone else in the Instagram.
I think what happened, that's a great point, but I think what happens is, especially with these newer guys, is they're building their practice. So they're willing to open their doors to the less informed, or maybe to those who've been pushed into having surgery by these other platforms, because it brings people in the door and then they try to educate them. But in my view, I think you're completely right. Even if you try to educate these patients, they're still coming through with a certain mindset. They're not fully prepared to walk through your doors. No matter how much you try to educate them, unless they hear this from a third party, it's going in one ear and out the other. And if they don't have good results for some reason, if things do go wrong for some reason, they're not going to be emotionally prepared to deal with it. Whereas a guy like you kind of understand the entire scope and possible pitfalls even before you had a consultation.
Yeah, and to be fair to Manny, he explained it all. Exactly what I learned from my sort of research. I was balding in my early 20s, and I was lucky that, Propecia managed to put the pause button on things. And the way he worded it, the way he presented it to me was exactly what I wanted to hear. It was the truth. And
I'm really glad about that.
Struck a chord with me. I've just seen I know people that have been and had hair transplant surgeries, and they've asked for my advice because I've dove in and out of hair transplantation for years, 20 years now, if not a bit more. And I kind of said to a few fellas, hold off. Again, use your words of wisdom. Hold off. And they've done it. They've gone and pulled the trigger and they've lowered the hairline. And I've spoken to them and they've said things to me like, this is permanent. And you can't, without an education, like you say, they're being so blind non-facts about the surgery itself, saying it's permanent. Mm-hmm. They genuinely believe it's permanent. Like I know now I'm signing up. I'm probably going to need some more work done in 5-10 years. Probably am.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully I don't.
But you're also at an age where the grafts can be pretty permanent, meaning they could last you until you're an old man. And they could be very strong, and they could be robust, especially if you're on medication. Like if I got a transplant today, it'll probably last me till I die. So I'm like in the best position possible. I laugh at these kids when they're like, oh, but you have a receded hairline. I'm 60 years old. I've been balding for 40 years. Do you know how lucky I am that I have a virgin scalp, that I have this clear, empty canvas, so to speak? I can do it.
70% of the people that say that to him won't have the same hair that he does at the same age.
That's right.
Hey, Spence, man, you're a prince. I think you're a silver fox. So, no.
Well, thank you, brother.
No homo.
No homo.
No homo, as you say.
Yeah, silver fox there. No homo. That's good.
But just
I
one more question before I leave you guys now.
Yep.
I know a lot of fellas seem to have the hair transplant done, and after 2 weeks post-surgery, they're really ecstatic about the angulation of the grafts. And it does look impressive, right? But ultimately that falls out, and then obviously the growth cycle begins. Does the hair, once it's transplanted, because this is something you don't see much coverage on, does it take the angulation once it starts to regrow that you see at that 2-week period post-surgery? Because it looks great 2 weeks, 3 weeks post-surgery. You think, right, I could buzz my hair. But then you see, like I've seen it in a few people that I know that have had it done, and it kind of grows out a bit like, you've used the analogy of ant legs, Joe, in the past, saying it looks a bit odd and a bit. So can you take what happens 2 weeks post-surgery as your final result in terms of angulation of those transplanted grafts?
Very good question. Well, yes and no. When grafts are placed, first off, this is the thing that popped in my head first when you were asking this question. When grafts are placed into the scalp, into the recipient sites, whether it be stick in place or pre-made incisions, doesn't matter which tools used, the angle that the grafts are placed in is not the angle that they will grow in. Because what happens is during the healing process, when those incisions are closing up, they do tend to change direction a little bit. If they're placed properly, they will raise up a little bit away from the plane of the scalp, or the plane of the scalp, wherever, whichever direction they're in.
That's why I keep you around, Joe.
But the thing that really dictates the direction is the size of that incision. So and how snug that graft is in that incision. So the change of direction from the plane of the scalp, whether it be really flat or coming up a little bit further or higher up, that's unavoidable. And that's why sometimes if you talk to a doctor, he or she tends to or prefers to lay the grafts as flat as possible because they're anticipating that change in elevation from the plane. That's what I meant to say, the elevation, not direction. Elevation from the plane of the scalp. They're expecting that. So they do purposely lay the grafts a bit flatter than they think that they'll come out. So when those grafts come in, to answer your question, they won't be as flat to the scalp as they were during the initial recovery. Now, what can make them seem like they're going off in different directions, even if they look like they were in the proper direction during placement, is what I was referring to with the differentiation between the size of the graft and the size of the incision. If there's enough room for it to kind of wiggle around to where the direction is slightly off, then that's what you're seeing. There's also an argument to be made about the incision being too tight for the graft, and it compresses the graft a little bit. The previous caller, Dante, was mentioning that.
Could also be a little extra scarring too, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's actually what causes it.
Right.
And I had that issue as well. Is the incision and the subsequent scarring from that incision squeeze that graft, and it doesn't kill the follicle, but it does cause it to grow a bit wiry. So, there are things that can happen from the surgery itself that do change the outcome, even if it looks great during the initial first couple of weeks. So to answer your question, no, it doesn't necessarily dictate or indicate, how that hair will look once the final result comes in, and assuming that you would buzz it down to the same length. it's not. I mean, it might be close, but it's not going to be a perfect 1-to-1 comparison.
Yeah, thanks for that, Joe. It makes you just don't get the sort of the content out there doesn't speak about certain things like the angulation much, and another one is the microvascular sort of damage that's caused by the extraction. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
To take,
Who the hell is going to tell you that when they're trying to sell hair transplants?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I get it. I understand that. There'll be a bounty on your head.
Do you think any of these consultants who have, YouTube channels or they're on Instagram are going to tell you this? Their main job to give you an education, in quotes, is to make sure that you buy a hair transplant because they're getting commissions. They can't tell you that.
Isn't it such a shit show? Such a shame that the world's like this, right?
Listen, when I started, I'm going to say this again, I repeat myself. When I first started, and I started the IHRS, even the good doctors, guys that I started the organization with, like 30 doctors at the time, and sadly it hasn't grown that much because, these guys suck. I can't take any more money. But they would come to me. A few of them came to me like, what are you doing? And they would give clips, give me, they would record my radio show, or they would, have somebody transcribe something that I said. And I'm just like, listen, you knew what you were getting into. I'm not here to sell surgery. And whether it was talking about complications from strip, whether it was talking about, microscopic dissection and the issues involved with technicians, all that stuff. And also that surgery is a last resort. Now, eventually, these guys understood it. But at first, they didn't want me to tell the truth because they thought it was going to hurt their practice. And that was never the case. Yeah, maybe some guys decide not to have surgery, but I really can't talk anybody out of surgery. I can tell them to wait. They may wait like you. They may take the time to really be as well-informed as possible and to educate themselves and understand when they may be a candidate. But eventually they're going to have surgery in general. Very few guys that listen to the show have totally taken surgery off the table because you want it.
Yep, I agree with that. Yep.
All right, brother. Did you hang up?
Yeah.
Did I lose you?
No, copy that. I won't hold you guys up for any much more time because I'm sure there's eager people to talk to you. But
don't be so sure. Do not be so sure. Go ahead.
Well, look, I've got my surgery's penciled in. My sex change is penciled in for next month with Dr. Manny. So that's it.
Look, dude, come on. It is your gender-affirming surgery for sure. And I'm fine with that.
I just said, hey, can you hook me up with a pair of wowzers? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. Out with it,
Well, let me ask you. I mean, given where you live, would that be covered under your insurance? If he writes a note?
Would it be covered? A pair of wowzers?
Not a pair of wowzers, just your hair transplant as part of your gender-affirming surgery.
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't know. You know what? You've caught me out there. I have no idea.
That's a whole new angle for these doctors to use to get people in the chair.
But yeah, hey, here's another thing, Joe. I spoke to David, and I think David's going to document it. So I spoke to him, and I spoke to him when I was there at the consultation. I said, look, if you want to film this, I want to document my hair transplant, feel free. So we're going to meet up on a day, I think. So that should be good as well, because David's a real nice bloke. Another one, another good guy. So
yeah, he's a great guy. I like him very much. I'm going to do a live with him, I think, on Instagram at some point if we could figure that out. We're like 8 hours apart. And he always tells me, well, he gives me like military time. I'm like, why do you give me military time? I live in the U.S. All right, brother. Yeah. Listen, good luck.
And he also drives on the wrong side of the road. So yeah, you can't expect much from him.
I can never figure that out. Really, it makes no sense.
Hey, Spence. Before you go, just keep me posted when the bed sheet gets released. Okay,
I will. I'm doing slippers, and I may do like a furry hat type of thing.
Loungewear.
He's also
Loungewear.
He's also doing whitey tighties with an image of him in a chef's hat and a bib.
Oh man, I've got my card out right now.
That's a weird fantasy of yours, brother, and you just let the world know.
No homo.
No homo.
Okay, guys.
No homo.
Take care.
Exactly.
All right, brother. Take care. Good luck.
Cheers, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.
888-659-3727. Little hair loss show here. I love hearing from guys who have been listening to us for a long time, whether it's both of us, whether it's Joe alone, just taking the opportunity to learn, do their due diligence.
And take it to the doctors.
Yeah, and not jump into surgery.
Yeah.
And I hope Mandy's not offended by me, voicing the fact that, I don't love the fact that, especially these younger doctors getting involved with some really questionable figures in this field. I understand it, but in a way I don't understand it. Because I believe that in the end, it only harms their practices, and it just cheapens the entire industry. The end. Let's see who this is.
The end.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Dude, we can hear you, and it sounds like your phone is all effed up, and if you can't say hello, I'm going to hang up.
Sounds like he's in a crowd.
All right, man. Thanks for the call. 888-659-3727. Toll-free number. Give us a call here at The Bald Truth. If you don't have any questions or concerns about your hair loss. It's interesting, my young friend and American Hair Loss Association content creator Tom Gilbanks said something interesting to me about my ability just to say whatever the F I want on the air and on Instagram. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah. I mean, you have to earn that shit. You have to figure out a way to earn in this field, do what you do without being concerned, either politically or financially, about telling the truth. I guess I started just my career by just kind of blasting physicians and telling the truth about this cesspool of an industry and the insipid people that are involved in this field, the real pieces of crap that run these resources online. I don't mind letting the doctors I work with know how I feel. It's a talk show, Joe. So I talk, I say something, and then maybe you may respond once in a while.
Someone's got to monitor the chat room, see what these guys are saying about us, and you wouldn't believe what they're saying about you. Oh, my God.
So what you should consider doing is actually getting a moderator so that you can just concentrate on the broadcast.
I should concentrate on getting a moderator? I'm a one-man show, bro.
Yeah. Maybe get
Adrian.
Maybe Adrian
wants to be the moderator.
Maybe Adrian could be the moderator if he's in the chat, if he's enjoying doing that. Or we could have some other guys. I would say Rob.
That's not a bad idea.
I would say Rob Hellner, but I don't think he has the. He's like a 12-year-old.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. Getting because I can assign a moderator, and he can field questions, and then he can text them to me, so I'm not distracted by the actual chat activity. I like that.
And we can actually do a show here without me feeling like I'm talking to myself.
The only problem is that he's when the show starts, it's like 7 a.m. for him. I don't know if he gets up that early.
Find somebody else. There's got to be somebody who wants to do it.
I think he gets up at the crack of dawn, or crack of noon. Sorry. Anyway, so apparently that was Mike Pedrosa in the chat room that was trying to call in.
All right, so call in.
That was me, Joe. So try
back again, Mike. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. We are live doing The Bald Truth. Started this program in 1998. Now, I'm going to tell you guys that I am going to be starting a different YouTube channel, not to do this broadcast on. This is staying on Joe's channel. But I am going through my archives. I have shit from audio files from back in the day. If you guys heard this stuff, it would freak you the fuck out.
Liar, liar, liar. Here we go, liar, liar. Pants on fire.
Those kind of audio files?
No. Well, actually, I do have him back in the day. So I have the truth about how this industry was built. And it's interesting. That's a particular guy who's kind of rewritten. You're talking about revisionist history. The history of this field multiple times throughout his career.
And oddly, he's always at the center of the new revision of the history. I don't understand that. How can he be all these different places?
He's an amazing dude, I got to tell you.
He really is. He really is.
I was just sent a new image. It's funny. People send me pictures. I'm just like, leave me alone with this guy.
I know, right?
You know? And I'm just like...
It's always something new.
You know, guy's still hustling. Got to give him credit, or maybe he's made some really bad financial moves in his life, but he's still hustling hair, and I don't know how old he is. I mean, he's older than me, I think. Maybe by
He is, but not by much.
a couple of years,
I think
at least.
maybe 63, something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to be nice.
I know.
Trying to be nice.
You weren't not nice. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
We got...
But Father Time time and tide stop for no man. Let me tell you that. Some men, but I think the field itself really ages people, depending on where you are in the field.
I was trying to think of one person that hasn't aged. What's his name? George. Very tan. Hamilton. Yeah.
Oh, he's age. That guy's age, but
Well, he has now, but
Yeah.
it's like he suddenly aged 30 years overnight. But
that's what happened.
before
I'm
the
waiting
first-
for that.
The first 60 years, he looked the same.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that, man. I'm waiting for when people say you look good. I'm just like, do not jinx me.
Yeah,
Do not
exactly.
jinx me, because that wall is right here.
It's closing in fast.
Dude, like I said, you're doing fine, and something breaks. It's like my navigator.
That's all it takes.
The car is running like a top.
And then you had a flat, and then the fenders fell off.
And all of a sudden, it just like everything just fell apart.
That's actually sad to hear. I like that truck.
Oh, no, I'll
Never been in
fix
it,
it. It's not a big deal. I mean, you saw the way I kept it.
Yeah.
That shit
I
is
think
cherry.
Yeah. I was just going to say it's cherry.
I mean, it's
sure.
like the only thing that's a little screwed up is the driver's seat, and it's not really that screwed up compared to most driver's seats. But every other aspect of that car, it was just like, someone would get out of it. I'm like, with a toothbrush,
Let's see. Yeah, nothing else going in the chat. Any calls? Anyone trying to call in?
No,
Mike Pedrosa, call.
Nobody gives a
what's
shit.
going on?
No one cares what we do here. So anyway, I'm going to be starting a YouTube channel, brand new. I'm going to be putting up some shorts. I'm going to be putting up some clips of the program, some old clips of the program. I'm going to be doing some interviews, stuff like that. And, we can combine forces here. And maybe that'll do it. Maybe that'll get us where we need to be on this particular platform. I definitely noticed that,
Nice.
My other social media is really growing, which is great. What's funny is no one really gets it. No one understands that I'm not partnering with anybody. All these companies that reach out to me saying, wow, this is great. We'd love to partner with you. I'm like, do you watch my
I
content?
bet you would. No, they don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
Do you think I'm going to be
They just see the following numbers.
Yeah, do you think I'm going to bounce around with a laser cap on my head with a big thumbs up? There's one company contacts me, and they're willing to pay me per video. And it was like a surprising amount of money. I guess it's based on my follower count or something and the engagement.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, this is how I see all these seemingly decent people just selling out to the lowest common denominators in this field. Dude, I told you about.
Well, it's a whole new world.
The Turkish
It's
companies that
completely new.
approach both of us. the money that I have been offered for just doing social media for these guys, I didn't want to talk about the amount. Maybe I did already. But the initial signing bonus from this one company, I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And I see like,
money's no object.
oh, these companies are signing with like sports teams.
Yeah. Yeah, big sponsorships at some of the big European football stadiums, soccer stadiums, sorry.
But I can make,
Yeah.
and I know there's obnoxious people out there saying, oh, yeah, Copen's always saying that he's not selling out. Well, I'm not yet, but I will eventually.
Yeah, it doesn't mean we won't.
Definitely not the surgeons, though. 'Cause I couldn't sleep at night.
But speaking about, changes going on or the way things are different, it's also compelling me to say that Spencer and I are not medical doctors. I'm going to start peppering this through the broadcast. We're not medical doctors, and we're not giving medical advice. If you have any sort of questions about medical procedures, surgical procedures for your hair loss, while we do have over 60 years combined experience in the industry, you should speak to a licensed medical professional and tell them about what we've been saying here.
Look, if you're going to need to do that all the time, why don't I just have something that I can, fade up and fade down every hour or whatever?
I like that. Yeah. I can make that. Like the thing I sent to you earlier, but not in time.
You don't have to make it. We'll figure out what the disclaimer is, and I'll just put it on my system, and it'll be there.
I've already done all the work. It's already done.
What happens if I don't like it?
Then I can make another one. You got to be that guy, don't you? You got to be Mr. Difficult. But also, people, don't forget to like this broadcast. We are sitting here on our asses for free, not getting paid by anyone to do this. Answering your calls, taking your calls, answering your questions.
Oh, dude, you missed it.
And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to support the channel. Making an effort to grow now. So, yeah. And call us, people. Like, we're sitting here waiting to take your call. So pick up the phone. Call.
I'm just going to put the camera on you and let you beg for calls.
Well, I'm not begging for calls. Like, hell, I got stuff to do. I got videos to edit.
The camera's on you, brother. You can do your disclaimer.
I just did the disclaimer.
Do you have like a laser helmet or anything you can put on underneath that desk?
Man, I wish I did. I wish I did. I'd put that damn thing in my head right now. That'd be hilarious. Do a how-to on how to use a laser helmet. You turn on the button and you put it on your head.
Did
you look like a dork?
You probably already have them, but the offers are they're absolutely ridiculous. Now the laser cap offers or laser helmets or whatever they are, those are sad because they will offer whatever, based on your followers. They want to give you a few $1,000s for the ad, and then they want you to basically, and some people want to give you more money for the ad, but they want to use your ad in like other social media. They want to use you.
But they also want to give you discount codes to where they can track individual sales according to you, your viewers or listeners or subs or whatever. They get a discount,
and you get a commission.
you get like a 40% commission, which tells me what these laser helmets cost. Like a $600 laser helmet, it actually costs like $150, maybe.
If it's $600, that's probably like an 80 diode unit, and you can get those for about $70.
Yeah, I haven't looked lately. I had one guy asking me about a $90 laser cap. I'm like, go for it. It's probably just fine.
There's part of me that wants to get involved with that as far as like maybe creating something with a company that's very inexpensive, sold on Amazon or whatever. And, maybe just license a seal or whatever and not worry about, not having any equity in the company. That'll piss off a lot of people, though.
Oh, yeah.
The
ones that sell the caps for $3,000.
I just think that's insane.
That's it is insane.
I really was considering getting involved. I took these applications in. I'm not saying that I'm not going to eventually. I don't know. But so far, I I haven't been able to work with anybody. One company kind of quasi-applied, and then when I kind of wanted to push for more, the rest of the application didn't come through. I'm just like, that's a sign. That is a really important omen to probably not get involved. But then I think if there's a way to give people at least some sort of reassurance that at the very least they're going to get their money back guarantee, or this is a quality product compared to other products out there. But honestly, I kind of feel bad that anyone who's spending $3,000 for a low-level laser light cap, it really speaks to how vulnerable and how desperate we are as hair loss sufferers. And I just don't know if I could be involved in that. Now, if it's under $1,000, if it's like negligible, but still for some people, $900 is a lot of money or whatever it is.
Yeah, of course.
That's 2 weeks' work.
Yeah, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I don't feel good about that, But then I'm thinking, man, would I enjoy seeing those wire transfers every month?
You're getting a rare look into the thought process of Spencer Coburn.
But listen, I do struggle with this because it's like these people are going to buy this shit anyway. There is some validity to it. Is it a first-line treatment? No way. You are an idiot if this is what you're using as your first-line treatment. It's an adjunct treatment that may give you a little bit of a boost. And some people who have kind of the beginning throes of hair loss, if you can get that laser light down to your scalp where it needs to be, which is not easy, especially if you have a lot of hair, in my view, we've seen it make a difference. But not on everybody. So to me, it's like if you're going to pick a treatment, it's probably best to get on medication. And then if you have some money to burn, why not? You can get one of these things.
Well, it's something to try if you've tried medications and you just can't stand side effects.
Yeah.
Or if you've been on medications for a while and you want to, add something else to put you over the top, so to speak. Understanding that it too can trigger a telogen effluvium, mild or severe. I've seen it happen. I've heard about it happening. What's his name had claimed he had a terrible shed. Joe from Staten Island, from a laser helmet or laser cap.
Well, he was also put on topical meds simultaneously.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really know what caused the shed, but it could be both, or it could be one or the other. I would ask your chat what they think. Like if I was able to get something to market with a company and have it less than, something that's less than $300 or $400, is that something you would want? But we would have one guy like Rob answer with an obnoxious response. So I'm not going to ask.
Like he has been already.
But no, I do, and guys, you can call us, otherwise we're going to leave. 888-659-3727. I do struggle with this. It's not just because of the money, the offers are on the table. I just know that people are going to be buying this stuff. So should I be put them in a position where they can have the opportunity to use this for something that it's a reasonable cost, like the cost of a steak dinner or something? Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about it. And that would take a lot of effort. I have to get involved with the right companies who already have access to places like Amazon in a big way. Mm-hmm. But I can make that happen. And sometimes I think, should I? Just out of making it easier for people to get access to these things at a lower cost. As opposed to, part of me doesn't like that idea with certain things like medication. I know there's some guys out there that are promoting cheap medication. That's not good. Mm-hmm. That's a bad thing.
I agree.
Like our friend, that YouTuber who started his own company. It's like he wants to provide the least expensive medication. I mean,
What does that say about the medication? You know,
I can't even believe it. This is a doctor. You know?
But he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's doing it because he wants to help. Because no one else can offer cheap medications. It has to be him.
It's just the idea of least expensive medication being offered to vulnerable hair loss sufferers. When we know what that entails, we know the reality of how these medications are being produced, especially the least expensive forms of generics.
Yeah.
It's insane to me. That really bugs me. Like this particular guy, this guy's in a position where he could charge the highest prices and probably get many, many people to buy those prescriptions, to subscribe to this. And explain.
To make sure it's a quality product.
And explain that this is a quality product and why he's doing it this way. And he did just fine.
Yeah, he went for the low-hanging fruit.
But his angle was the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
And that just bothers me.
For good reason. Like I get you. I totally understand that and agree. It's not the medical ethic at play here. So what's this? Call Joe for shampoo, hint, what? Yeah, I'm not involved with that. I'm not involved with shampoos. I was for a bit, and it was actually good shampoo, but I wasn't selling it. I got no kickbacks from it. I got free bottles of shampoo, but that was it. Well, I did like the shampoo.
The five guys in the chat, what would you like to see as sponsorship? Like beer, shit like that, men's products? Because I kind of think that's the way to go if I really decide to kind of go full blown back into the field.
I like the idea of Spencer Coburn rye.
Rye bread? Is that a Jewish joke?
No, whiskey.
I'm just kidding.
Well, is it Monday Jewish New Year?
Yeah, you can say something like that. Yeah, it's Rosh Hashanah, as we would say in New York, or Rosh Hashanah, as everyone else says around the country who try to be authentic.
My Jewish friend was saying Jewish New Year.
Yeah, it's essentially the New Year.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is.
He could have said Rosh Hashanah. I was like, okay, Rosh Hashanah, but he said whatever. Anyway, yeah. So laser caps, whiskey. No, sorry, Spencer Coburn rye whiskey. That would be good.
Yeah, again,
over massage.
The whole thing. Do I feel like selling poison to people?
Kurt O'Gluturk wants to know how to donate for the channel. That's a great question, but not necessary. Thank you very much. We don't take donations. I don't.
Oh, are you saying I do?
Did I even mention you at all? Was there any inflection in my voice saying, well, I don't take donations, but someone else in the room does? I didn't say anything like that.
It sounded like it. And Joe, you're right. This year we start taking donations. We're going to start a Patreon. We're going to do the whole thing.
Well, the good thing is it might buy us, after a few months, a couple steak dinners. So we can take our Patreon money.
How do you know I'm already rich, Rob? What do you know about me? You don't know shit. Maybe I got to eat too.
It's Robert Mueller from Germany. Were you going to try to call in? He's in there saying that he went to a Turkish clinic 15 years ago and he had problems.
Yeah, you can call in. Otherwise, I may just turn the shit off and go live on Instagram and get some calls.
I'm actually thinking we should. If he doesn't call in the next minute, let's just wrap it up.
All right.
No more calls are coming in. Not since Mike Pedrosa tried to call and failed. You failed, Mike.
I can order some food. get some ribs. I like ribs on Friday. I mean, I can go out. That's a whole thing now. It's funny. I'm at a point now where it's like, I don't know if I want to go out sometimes. Like I feel like going out, but then there's like, oh, it's a pain in the ass. I got to talk to people.
Yeah, there's that thing. Yeah, talking to people. That's the line.
Well, there's
That's
always
just
some
talking to
like
people.
slightly stoned woman that tries to talk to you at the bar. I like to eat at the bar. And you're just like, oh, man, I don't want to hear about your ex-husband or your past relationship or what I'm interested in, what I'm looking for. So I'm just looking to get a steak. That's what I'm trying to do.
She's like, hey, this steak looks good.
yeah, usually.
You want to talk about my husband?
Usually there's they're slightly tipsy and they're very talkative.
Yeah.
And
There's a whole, it's this subculture that revolves around.
and then if you talk too much, then you feel obligated to buy a drink for them because they're sitting there talking to you and you're a man. I don't want that shit.
See, I look at it differently. If you talk too much, you're not enjoying your steak, and it's getting cold.
Yeah.
I don't want my food to get cold.
What I would normally do is say,
Yeah.
listen, I'm going to eat and I'm going to be talking to you with my mouth full. I actually announce that. And then I'll say, look, if there's anything in my teeth, let me know. And then that I ingratiate myself with them and all of a sudden they're in love. I don't know what it is. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
James, Silicon Valley.
James, Silicon Valley.
Hey, James.
What's going on?
Talked to you guys before. Question. I'm close to your age, 58 years old. Been on Propecia for 30 years. Talked to you guys before. Starting to see my name brand Propecia seems to be not working as well. Of course, Crown has held up extremely well. What do you guys contribute the efficacy of long-term Propecia use on age-related hair loss?
You're 58. That's what I was going to say. I mean, the reality is this may not be related to DHT.
Exactly. So the research I'm doing, I used to be on Avodart when I was young, and it didn't affect me too much. I was on it for 2 years, and noticed some issues that we've all talked about. Spencer, you've all mentioned many times before that a little bit of DHT is a good thing, right? I mean, it's obviously why you probably haven't jumped over to dutasteride. So that was probably 12 years ago. Went back on Propecia. It's kind of held the ground. Brown is thinning for the first time ever, right? Just a little bit. Ordered name brand Avodart from Canada. I think I gave you guys some input on can ship meds.
I remember that. Yeah.
Let me tell you something, guys. Took one pill. 3 hours later, loss of sensitivity, volume went down. I mean, it was just immediate, like holy shit.
Really?
This is
Wow.
Yeah, I swear to God, Spencer, I'd be jumping ship to dutasteride, no problem. Extremely, don't smoke, don't drink. Used to smoke cigars and have my scotch on the weekends, but lived a very clean life since COVID. Haven't had a cold, great diet.
And now you're impotent.
Low body. Yeah, no, I'm not.
I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm just kidding.
on Propecia, I'm great.
Yeah.
Propecia, I'm great. Like you said before. Yeah. But I really think when people start to hit close to 60 and Propecia is losing ground, I don't think it's the DHT. I think it's age-related miniaturization, right?
I am a believer of that. And obviously, we have to give a disclaimer that we are not physicians. I always do that anyway. But I have been a believer of that as well as it being dose-dependent, even as we get older. So I do think that while it may not be obviously as related to DHT as it would have been if we were younger, and there is age-related factors, there's aged alopecia, there are issues with essentially it's like kind of like a hypoxia of the scalp. You're not getting as many nutrients because as we get older, we lose some, not just elasticity, but also just the, what's it called? Just the scalp itself actually starts to get slightly, like the vascularity starts to lessen. So we're getting less blood flow over time. Things are just changing. That's the way that it is.
Yeah, it's like the skin on your face starts to age.
Exactly. So, but I also do believe, at least in my case, I did up my finasteride. And now I'm taking about 2 5-milligram doses a week, maybe every 8 days or 9 days, something like that. And I kind of noticed things, a slight turnaround. Not completely, but I do think that the retrograde I've been dealing with, it seems a little better. It definitely doesn't seem to be progressing, which is incredibly.
So you're at 10 milligrams a week.
I'm about 10 milligrams a week. I mean, it's about every 10 days.
I'm daily 1 milligram.
Yeah.
I don't think upping it 3 milligrams a week is going to make a difference, though. I mean, it's.
Well, you don't know. That's the thing. We have no idea.
Don't know.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's possible just by kind of, I don't know. A slight titration.
Interesting. I got.
Go ahead.
I got tested. I got tested 13. I'm at 13 on the DHT on Propecia, and then when I was on Avodart in 2010 to 2012, it only went down to 10 on the serum.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, what made you stop? You got on dutasteride when you were younger. What made you stop using it? Just because of your levels?
I was going to try for a kid. I was going to try for a kid, but I did notice less sensitivity, less hardness, less volume.
Interesting.
And let me tell you, I really keep track of my health. I mean, there is a difference. I mean, people don't talk about it that much, but there is a difference. And what you've said earlier, especially when you get older, the DHT is just a little, maybe on the lower end of the normal spectrum. Like 12, I think 12 is the lower end of the lower spectrum, but anything below that is an issue. It definitely is an issue. I noticed a difference. And I also tried one, this was about 3 months ago, I think I told you guys, I tried 1.25 milligrams of oral minoxidil, and that just kicked my ass. I mean, it felt
That's right.
like
I remember that. I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
It was brutal. It was brutal. Insomnia, tossing and turning, massive headache. My body did not do well. Now the problem with, I'm a name brand guy like you. So I couldn't get Lonatan name brand. I think it only comes in 10 milligram pills and you can't cut that shit. Right. So, who knows what generic I was using and if that would have made a difference. I think it was PAR is the generic company.
You know what? It's possible, given the side effects that you're talking about, that it could have made a difference, but you don't know. You're right. You have no idea.
Yeah.
I am considering a different vasodilator. I'm considering a different vasodilator, which I don't want to talk about on the air at this point because then everyone's going to
You mentioned that before. You mentioned that before, but
but maybe I will at some point talk about it. I have to feel it out, and maybe I'll just write an article about it, and have some doctors chime in. But
why aren't you disclosing that to your long-time loyal listener?
I just think it's unfair. I don't want to put anybody into jeopardy. I'm not like one of these, these doctors that come on board and they're discussing all the experiments they're doing, like these hair transplant guys with what is that drug with a V, Joe? Something important.
Verteporfin.
Verteporfin. And then all of a sudden it gets on Reddit and everyone's trying this shit, or everyone wants to get their hands on this stuff, or I just don't want to be that guy.
You've been pretty transparent about your disclosures, though. I mean, you're an honest influencer, and you've been in this game a long time. I mean, it'd be interesting. You've talked about this for a couple of months now, so it'd be interesting.
Well, I'm kind of in a position.
Yeah, he has, but if he throws it out there, then he doesn't want there to be a stampede of people rushing out to try it without knowing what it is exactly they're getting into. That it's like the pyrolutamide and the
next phone call we're going to get
RU58.
The next call we're going to get is from your wife saying that I gave you a heart attack.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're primarily staying away from the oral minoxidil because of the potential shed, or because you're around my age and you know there could be some cardiovascular issues.
Yeah, both. Both.
People talked about facial aging and all that shit. It's
all of the above. I'm not saying that if things get desperate for me, that I'm not going to jump on it, because I probably will. But right now, as things stand,
if it's age related, not DHT related, is oral minoxidil really the answer? Because you're still going to lose ground.
Well, here's the thing: if it's age related and not DHT related, oral minoxidil actually acts as a vasodilator, and it'll essentially reverse the miniaturization process in a different way. It's not hormonally based. So if it's age related,
sure.
You're increasing the hair shaft diameter, at least for a while, and that could last you 2 or 3 cycles possibly. By the time we have 3 hair cycles, we could be dead.
Sure.
At this point. That could be 10, 12 years. Yeah. So, it could bide a lot of time, especially if it's not hormonally dependent. So, yeah, it's something that I have in my toolbox if I ever need it. But right now, I'm just like, you know what? I have to spend a little bit more time painting, the scalp. It's an extra 2 minutes, whatever. And I was like, oh, shit, there's more. I missed that spot, whatever. I deal with that. And I can still make it look good enough. I try not to think about, oh man, what's the future going to bring, because the future may not be here at this point. When you're younger, it's different. So I'm just trying to be as cautious as possible. I kind of know what's out there. I know what the potential.
And both of you would never jump ship to Avodart, correct?
At this point,
I did once.
At this point, no.
I did once many years ago, around 2006 or 2007.
Yeah, so you're same. Yeah.
For about 2 years,
and Joe, you're
I saw no difference.
What? Okay.
Yeah, no difference in my hair at all. And I noticed that I was looking back in pictures. I noticed that I was bloated. It looked like I had water bloat. And
I haven't heard that before.
Nothing changed with my routine, my diet. Nothing changed except that, and that was the consequence.
Brand?
Yeah,
I was bloated for years from booze, I would say.
Yeah, back then there was no option for generic. It was only name brand. It was too soon after it came out.
And did you get baseline markers from Propecia to Avodart on your DHT levels in the serum?
Dude, I didn't check any of that stuff. No,
Dude, he got his medication from a hair transplant doctor. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly.
But no sexual side effects, Joe.
Nope. No, as far as you know, I was perfectly fine.
Yeah. He's gonna find his wife's diary one day.
Exactly. I wasn't married back then. But yeah, zero side effects whatsoever, except for the bloat.
What are you guys' thoughts on this Dr. Knauer? I saw a video that you did, Joe, on this guy. I know he's not on. I don't know if you ever worked with him before, but you were comparing some hairlines. But he seems pretty talented.
Doctor,
on the
you talking about
hairline.
Conyer, yeah.
Is it Conyer? Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Is he still able to perform surgery at this point? He's got to be 90 years old.
I don't think he's not. I don't think he's
not that old.
I don't think he's quite 90.
How old is he?
Yeah. God, he's got to be, 70, Joe, you think? 65?
Maybe. Well, definitely older than 65.
He's got to be he's got to be at least 10, 12 years older than me, maybe older than that.
I met him for the first time 12 year ago in San Francisco at the ISHRS conference, and maybe it was Chicago. Hang on. No, it was San Francisco. And he
IA
just
or
based
IS?
on
IA or IS?
Sorry, ISHRS. Yeah, I'm not sure what I said, but
okay.
And back then, if I were to guess his age then, he was at least 60 when I saw him then. That was 12 years ago. Late 50s at best.
Yeah, I guess he's got he's got an apprentice below him, a woman. What worries me about her is they don't just do hair transplants; they do other things.
Exactly. Yeah. She does rhinoplasties and other cosmetic procedures.
Yeah.
And I'll say this. Look, Dr. Conyer, he was a nice guy when I met him. He was very gracious with his time. He knew who I was, and it's like we just started talking. And but over the years, his reputation exploded on one particular resource online, and you would not see the admiration for his work anywhere else on any other platform to that level.
Yeah.
And
right.
My suspicion, based on, I'm not going to go into detail, but anecdotal evidence and my experience of understanding how these things work, I'll say that in general, I thought that his reputation was overblown.
Right.
And one thing I noticed.
Yeah, that's an HTN thing. That's an HTN thing for sure.
One thing I noticed early on was the way that the photos were being presented online, and you would never see patient photos. It was always clinical photos, and they looked fantastic. 100%. They looked fantastic. They looked dense. They looked natural. Everything you ever wanted in a hairline, that's what those photos showed. But when you understand how light works, when you're using a flash in a still image and you're looking at a close-up, then you start to understand the reality of what you're looking at. So long story short, I won't go into the physics of it, but long story short, the density that you see in photos where there's a strong flash that's being used, and this is across the board. So it's not just to any particular clinic or doctor.
Yeah, no, you did a great video on him. You did a good video on him years back, explaining that. Yeah.
So it's got half the visible density in person than in the photos, and
sure,
in small imperfections on the scalp, like and sometimes even double hair grafts will be hidden by the flatness of the image and the way that the flash will kind of overpower the image itself. It hides the details. And so when I saw my first patient of his that decided to share their experience with their own photos, it looked absolutely nothing like anything you had ever seen before coming out of that clinic. And it wasn't better than what you'd see out of the clinic. It was worse. And in fact, and I'm not going to get too far into it, but
I'd like to hear this.
I thought it was. I thought that it was. How can I say it? Much less than what one would expect to come out of that clinic and the patient was happy. Full disclosure. Full fairness, the patient was really happy with it. But then when you look at the comments, everyone's like, oh my God, this is like the greatest thing. This is fantastic. Another home run by the doctor. My God, wake the kids, shout from the like mountaintops. My God, it just does not get any better than this. And I'm looking at it, scratching my head going, meh, I've seen better.
Yeah.
A lot, and frankly, I'll put it like this. Any other doctor that just came on the scene and presented this result that the patient shared would be criticized. Like, ooh, you got some learning to do, son. And that was a surprise to me. Like, I knew it wouldn't look as good as the clinical photos, which is the case in many situations. But this was night and day. This was like a wow moment, just not to mention a validation for me because of everything I've been saying about the subject.
Yeah.
And
another thing,
there was never really a lot of results posted by patients. I mean, for every 50 clinical results, you'd see 2 patient results.
So Joe, wait a second.
Posted by the patient.
Why don't you just tell us how you really feel?
Well, we got another 20 minutes before we're done. So,
you might as well just break out your diagram.
Well, I did in the video.
Yeah, that's true.
I forgot which video was that. I forgot which video it was. But I think, was I talking about hairlines in general?
Like, this is why this guy sucks.
That would be a good video, Joe, is to bring that up. I mean, I know it's kind of yesterday's newspaper probably when that happened, but
and by the way, I'm not saying this guy
this
sucks.
Doctor,
I just was trying to joke.
Conyer is probably getting up there in age, which, I mean, sometimes I look at these doctors, and you guys mentioned earlier about your buddy in Atlanta, I'm assuming. These guys are getting up there. I'm 58. I'm in good shape. I can't even imagine.
No, the guy that we're talking about that you just mentioned is only like a couple, maybe 2 years older than me. So I don't think it's necessarily the numbers.
Yeah, hasn't aged as well. We both know that. He has not aged as well. But, that being said, the fact that he's still doing this at his age is
well,
impressive.
that's bad planning. It's not even impressive. That's bad planning. It's not.
Yeah.
I got to tell you this. It's not for the love of the game. Trust me.
Some of the doctors out there, like, they do love doing it.
Yeah, and they'll
Dr. Wong's an example.
They'll operate once a week or twice a week, and they'll just go in there and just pick the cases they really want to work with. It is not for the love of the game. I'm telling you. I hear these guys complain about work like you wouldn't believe. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. But don't you think it's a
What's that, caller?
Patients should really consider, though, the doctor's age and ability, right, as they get older. I mean, that's...
By the way, someone just texted me and said that Conyers 68, so he's younger than we thought. He's not that old.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
But still, to be doing I mean, that's still up there.
Listen, it is, but I'm sure that you, like you said, you take care of yourself. If I continue to take care of myself and nothing breaks, I would be able to do that type of work. I have really good eye-hand coordination. Thank God I still have really good vision. I'm extremely patient. My only problem is the hand thing, like this. It happens all the time, but you probably didn't see that. But no, but like if you really keep yourself well and you have a strong back, you can do this for a long time if you really like it. I would say that when you go to one of these ISHRS meetings, it is very rare to see a physician in really good shape. There are some young guys who are in really good shape. A couple of older guys. Tony Rooston is he's in great shape at Brazil. Mm-hmm. You got what's his name in Florida as part of the IHRS. Now, why did I just forget his name?
Nussbaum?
What?
No.
Is it Nussbaum's in Florida?
Oh, yeah. Well, Nussbaum's in really good shape, too. But he's young.
Now that guy's kind of in his prime as far as, his youth, his talent, his ability.
And also his time on tissue. Like he's in the perfect sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think if I had a choice between him and 68-year-old, Conyer, I'd probably go Nussbaum.
And Ken Anderson's in great shape too. I mean, he still plays hockey. He rides motorcycle.
Is he the guy that did Cena's work?
Yeah, he's in good shape. I mean, I've seen him. He's been here in person many times.
And then you got Verona that's in pretty decent shape.
Oh yeah, Verona's like an animal.
He's a man. That guy is a beast.
He's
a beast. Like every time you see him, he's got like these biceps that make the Rock envious. Like that boy's cut.
It's really hit or miss on his reviews though. For some reason, I don't know why. Not.
I think he's doing so many cases now in comparison to some other guys, and he's kind of like he doesn't. Let's put it this way. I'm making excuses for anybody, but there's people out there that have figured out ways to have a little bit more control over what's being written about them and what's being seen online than others. And they've spent a lot of time making that happen. And then there are those where you just see actual reviews. And then there are also those where you may see some actual reviews, but they also have made enemies in this field. You just never know exactly what you're reading out there. And that's the problem. It makes it very confusing for the consumer.
Oh, it's a shit show. I mean, what do you guys feel is the best source for honest reviews?
There are none. I believe there are. They do not exist in cosmetic surgery. Period.
Not where you can consistently rely on them being honest. Like,
yeah.
You'll find honest reviews in every format, in every resource,
yes, yeah.
to more or less degrees, but they're all infected with false reviews, purposely slanderous reviews. Like, you just don't know what's out there.
See,
and there's no rhyme or reason.
When we kept a Bald Truth Talk running, it's still up there, but I was just like, I'm just going to let this thing die, no matter how. And it got really big for a while. It was the number one forum in this field for probably, I would say, that lasted for maybe 5 or 6 years as far as it being the most trafficked, and it was just out of control. It was just the level of nonsense that went on. Forget about just from the user, but from these doctors and their clinic advisors and their whoever they had working on the sites. Constant complaints about people who were maybe putting up honest reviews. We go in the back end and we'd see that people with the same IP address who happen to write us from the clinic at some point, an email, and we match IP addresses, were essentially making up shit about their own doctors. It was insane. Right. And don't get me started on these other forums. There was one situation many, many years ago where, for whatever reason, the back end of this forum was made public. The web person made a silly mistake, and in this particular platform, there's two ways to see the user, either by their avatar or by their IP address. They clicked the wrong thing, and we were able to see everyone's IP address. That was live for like 2 hours.
Yeah, that was during an update.
Yeah, and we sucked that down just to take a look at things. Dude, the entire thing was a scam. The doctors they didn't like, they were being bashed by moderators. And the moderators were having conversations with each other about the doctors they didn't like. The doctors they did like, who were sponsoring the site, whatever it is, same thing, all positive stuff.
And what he means by moderators were having conversations with themselves, he means that they were using aliases.
Yeah.
They were logging out, logging back in, using different aliases to ask and answer their own questions, as if it's multiple people having a discussion.
And on my particular forum, these guys wouldn't even use a VPN. So you would see the same IP address talking to each other on the back end of my thing, too. That's why we had to make everything. Basically, if someone made a post, it was locked about hair transplant surgery. We did that within the first year. Because the industry itself, it wasn't just the peanut gallery making patients feel bad. It was the industry itself having their consultants or whoever was running their stuff online essentially praise this work as though they're some anonymous user. It was disgusting, dude. And that's why I don't want to be involved in it. And I would say, in my view, I understand why these physicians have to support these places. They feel the need to get out there and they want to get leads. I get that. But these are very dishonest places. I don't believe anyone could really get true insight from any of these. You can learn the basics. You can kind of follow shit that's going on. And if you want to get involved with the gossip, that's kind of funny. But to make a decision based on a message forum or Reddit, you're out of your mind.
Suicide.
Yeah. I mean, it's hit or miss. You might as well just, essentially close your eyes and go to a phone book and pick a doctor.
It's almost like you need a private concierge, consultant that's just honest. I mean,
and good luck finding that.
Yeah.
Because they're out there. They claim they're honest, but they're not honest.
That's a whole nother death trap.
I used to laugh.
Or the consultants.
No, look, I've been listening to you guys for 25 plus years. I mean, it's what you offer and the knowledge you have for such a long time. People just don't get it. I mean, these young kids, I look at them like, you got to be out of your fucking mind. It's just insane what's happening.
What makes me laugh is,
so
even
corrupt.
to this day, but I mean, especially before, when consumers or just, casual, lurkers or people who are on these message forums would say stuff about either me or Joe or, how much money I've made doing what I do with the IHRS. It's a joke to me because the one thing that I always tell these kids is I will never have online consultations on this site. If you want to contact a doctor, great. These guys are the best in the industry, period. Or at least the best who have applied in the industry, period. But it's my advice not to have surgery. Avoid it at all costs. It is your last resort, period.
No, I've listened to that for years. I've followed that. I've followed that advice for years.
So that's why I think now, as I see things evolve, and I've been around for so long, I kind of notice even the kids when they're out there like talking shit about me, there's always someone that's like, well, he says this, and I think when they come to the program and then find out who we are, they realize, you know what, they're reading a lot of trolls online, and they're being misled themselves. However, not everyone's that smart because they want to believe. They want to believe that they are a candidate for surgery. They want to believe that these miracle 12,000 graft cases are going to be them. And that couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So listen, brother,
you guys talked recently about PP 405.
A few times.
I just did a reel on it.
Yeah.
I just posted a reel today about it.
What's kind of interesting is somebody that has been dealing with hair loss his whole life, Trump, right?
Yeah.
Fast tracked the COVID-19 vaccine. You would think our buddy Kennedy would get in there and say, "Hey, man, solve a problem here. Let's fast track this thing."
What's interesting
is Propecia, right?
What's interesting, I know somebody who actually knows Kennedy. I was thinking about reaching out to them, but it's such a joke to everybody. Even though if Trump was involved, it's such a the press would make fun of it. Like, oh, look what Kennedy's doing. He can cure cancer, but he's focusing on male pattern baldness.
That's true.
It's really sad, But yeah, I definitely think all this stuff.
But you know what? He'd have 70%. He'd have 70% of the country behind him on the issue.
Are you kidding me, man?
He would get a third term,
dude. Yeah, exactly. The midterms will be a sweep.
I don't care what the media says. 70% of us are, people say, 50%, 60%.
No way.
No, it's 70% of people. It's. I've seen more kids. I mean, look, I go to the gym every day and I work out with these young guys, right? And they're all thinning more than I've ever seen.
They're all
before.
bald.
I don't know what the hell they're drinking.
Yeah.
Dude,
it's crazy. And they're not on the gear. They're not on the gear.
When we put out the statistic through the AHLA that 2/3 of men by the age of 35 were losing their hair, everyone was questioning us, and we showed them the data. And essentially, you could see it yourself. Go to any bar, any restaurant. And this was 20 years ago, but now it seems to be even more prevalent. Mm-hmm. Anyone above the age of 30, it is rare to see someone
microplastics.
Yeah, it's rare. It's rare to see anyone who doesn't have a receding hairline or some degree of hair loss.
Nope. Every time
the anomaly.
I go to a restaurant, I count every time.
Oh, dude, I call it Norwood clocking. And it's funny. I walk into a restaurant. I'm just like, I see these guys looking at my hair sometimes. Not like you could tell when someone's looking at your hairline or something, but almost like this old guy's got a lot of hair. Like you can almost see the pain that they're going through. And I'm just thinking to myself, they have no idea what's going on here. This is a total sham. But they're all going online. They're all feeling actually extra sensitive about it, because at least when we were younger, we may have noticed some degree of hair loss early on, but some of us it took longer than others. Like some guys were just in denial for so long. Now no one could be in denial because they go straight to the internet and they see everyone getting a hair transplant, and they are anticipating going bald. I have 20-year-old kids who have no hair loss, and they want to do something about it already. So it's part.
I'll tell you one thing: if Trump wanted to have a legacy and he solved this problem by fast tracking PP 405 and it actually worked, it would be classic. I mean, right?
The problem
'Cause
currently,
we've been talking about his hair for decades.
No, I agree.
We've been talking about his hair for decades, and he had something to do with solving the problem. I mean, come on, that'd be great.
Well, the problem with PP405, even if it works the way that they claim it's going to work, there's still a very strong chance people are going to have to still suppress DHT.
Sure.
And
I got no problem with that.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So these kids are under the impression that this is going to replace that, 5-alpha reductase inhibitors, as opposed to it being kind of like acting kind of like a supercharged minoxidil, so to speak. Even that's not how it works. But
look, we both know Propecia has helped our prostates at our age, right? It has. I mean, I have
absolutely.
no problems, right?
I get checked out.
Get up maybe once. I might get up maybe one time, 3 times a week to take a piss at 3, 4 in the morning. But let me tell you something. Propecia has been a good thing later on in life, right? So
I agree.
Suppressing that in the future with a little dose of PP405, hopefully, right, is not going to be a bad thing.
No,
but
and
yeah,
I also
people think it's going to be a cure. No,
and I do think that. And you can tell me what your thoughts are, but I know that every guy that started this drug in their 20s or 30s, the guys who have been on it for as long as us, for some reason their skin just looks different. It looks slightly thicker. It has a different type of a moisture content, like a younger person. I'm talking everybody, smokers, everyone that I know who's been on this drug for a long period of time, including Tillman. So
no, it's helped the skin. Look, when I shave the beard, the grays in the beard, yeah, people will say, are you on collagen? What are you taking? Well, I've been on Propecia for 30 years. Maybe it's that. But no, it definitely has helped the skin. Now, I don't think it helps facial fat as we get older. We're going to lose a little bit of facial volume and fat, and maybe some facial fat on the temples. It's not going to help with that. But as far as texture of the skin, absolutely. And people that I've known that have been on it 20 years plus definitely don't look their age. I mean, you're told that all the time. So, yeah, I think there's something to it. It's not really talked about a lot, but a lot of people haven't been on Propecia for 30 years, right?
Well, I do. Yeah. Well, I do think
Most
that
people haven't, yeah.
I do think that also if it's actually helping the skin and the scaffolding as well of collagen, it's going to keep the fat from and like the fat pads from sliding down vertically. I noticed that people who've been on it for a long time seem to have kind of fuller cheeks in general as well. So that could be part of it. I don't know. I really don't know. I did speak to Dave Asprey once when I had him on the program. It was kind of like a special show. And I told him that I think this is actually the first anti-aging drug. He freaked out because I think he had side effects on it. And he was like, there's no way.
Dave Asprey? Who is he?
He is the original biohacker. He is the guy that invented the bulletproof diet.
Bulletproof coffee.
Oh, yeah.
And bulletproof coffee.
Yeah, that guy seems like kind of a grifter, though, a little bit to me. He's, the guy that he wears the colored glasses all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think he seems like a grifter to a lot of people, and I think it's partly maybe, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't want to dehumanize anybody, but I also think he may have like Asperger's or something because the way that he communicates is very uncomfortable. So I think that could add to it. Like he doesn't necessarily. He may believe in these products. He doesn't necessarily know how cringy it sounds or he appears. You know what I mean? You ever meet one of these guys and
you suspect he's on the spectrum?
I definitely suspect. I don't know, but I suspect he's on the spectrum for sure.
No, that makes sense. It makes sense.
So listen, Joe
wants. You wonder why guys. You wonder why guys like Brian Johnson don't take Propecia, but he takes oral minoxidil. Now, to me, that's fucking shocking. Shocking.
Well, he is convinced.
I mean,
he is convinced, just like everyone else, that he's going to deal with potentially post-finasteride syndrome, and that's just the way that it is. It's also shocking that he does dutasteride mesotherapy, which I think I don't know if he still does it. That's shocking to me.
I don't think he's taking shots with the mesotherapy anymore. He's got his own topical, but the oral minoxidil he's taken at I think he's taken 2.5 to 3 milligrams a day. And I'm telling you, talk about facial aging. That drug cannot be good.
Well, he's also getting some work done.
On it has got the moon face.
Yeah, he's
got the moon face.
Yeah, he's also. He's definitely had some fillers done, at least some Sculptra. I think I saw him do.
Yeah, he's had Sculptra. Yeah.
So he's going for it. So do I believe? He looks like he's in great shape. The guy really got jacked over the last 5 years. So whatever he's doing is working. He's still young. Whatever he's doing is working, but is it going to really work? I'm a believer in measurements to some degree, but I don't think that tells the whole story in the end. And so who knows?
He had pretty good. There was a pretty good podcast with him and the More Plates guy, where Derek just kind of called him on his shit, saying, talk about taking risk, oral minoxidil. Derek was all over it. He was just like point blank, like, what are you thinking, right?
I got to watch that. I should contact Derek.
Lot of long term.
I should contact Derek one day. I am going to be doing a kind of putting up another channel. I'm going to be talking to some well-known people, some guys who I've helped over the years who are kind of well-known. Kind of change things up a little bit and stop taking your calls and shit because I can't take it anymore. I'm just kidding. But so maybe I'll contact Derek. I don't know if he would do the show. He probably
that would be good. Yeah.
He might.
That'd be great.
I think he would.
Yeah. He seems like a really nice guy. Even at the beginning,
he would be a good conduit to get Brian Johnson on, right? Because they have some.
I live very close to Brian Johnson. I could skateboard over to his house.
That's great. Yeah, I think contacting Derek and having Derek and Brian Johnson on at the same time would be great.
I think I could beat him up. God. I'm just saying.
Probably.
I'm just kidding. All right, brother. Listen, Joe's got to go.
That would be a good show.
Joe's got to go.
All right, Joe.
Listen, I really appreciate the call. Good luck with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, glad you called in. It was a good talk.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, Joe.
Talk soon.
Have a good night.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, we're going to go. Caller, if you want to hold on, I'm probably going to go live on Instagram, but you're going to have to hold for at least 10 minutes.
Or just call back.
Or call back, yeah. If you want to call back in 10 minutes. I'm going to order some food, and from the time I get make that order to the time that it arrives, I will do a live on Instagram. Why not?
There you go.
So, Joe, you're frozen, but you look good. That's a good pose.
Oh, God. This computer's killing me. Anyway. Okay,
you got to make an investment.
Again.
You don't really need anything.
Right.
Today you can just get a decent laptop and you can make it work.
Well, the desktop itself it's still pretty powerful. It's just I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it.
Maybe your camera.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. No, it's not the camera. The camera is definitely in good shape. It's definitely something about the computer itself. I don't know.
All right, brother.
Maybe dust.
Well, listen, we're going to go, guys. I will go live. It'll take me about 10 minutes to set everything up, plus I got to take a piss and order some food. But you can follow us on Instagram at Spencer Coburn and at Joe Tillman Official. And if for some reason somehow you're watching or listening to the show elsewhere, which I guess you could be watching on The Bald Truth, make sure that you check out Joe's hair transplant channel. I can't think. That is thebaldtruth.com. I'm sorry. That's the youtube.com/hair transplant mentor. Make sure you subscribe, like this program too, ring the bell so you get notifications. Until next time, be strong. God bless. And thank you so much for listening. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program. And I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you.